Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero Psych, Defender of the Fatherland, of hidden exciting 1 vs 1 on Kholodny Ferma. Between in the west, we got Kryptic, RTS, fighting for the Soviet Union, the 5th Mechanized Corps, ready to challenge the fascists and push them all the way back to Berlin and then burn Berlin down. Versus in the east, we got Joris, fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, taking on the role here of the Hermann Göring Fallschirmpanzerdivision with mechanized assault support and lightning war doctrine triple infantry versus Kryptic's advanced warfare, Guard motor and Lend-Lease here with triple infantry for him as well. Double conscripts out there for Kryptic, so no initially penal trooper looking builds there. Might be then mixing in some Maxims and Mortars, that way challenge Joris and the Wehrmacht, who's going for a more standard grenadier MD42 start, setting up sandbags here around his cutoff point so he can sort of cover this area better, with the MD42 following up there, and then finding the Grenadiere of the Hermann Göring Fallschirmpanzerdivision, the Luftwaffe's only panzer division. Well, technically they sort of haven't expanded into a full panzer corps with a second sort of panzer grenadier division attached to it, which was just called the Hermann Göring Fallschirmpanzergrenadier Division 2, just 2 basically. But yeah, started out from a small personal unit. Hermann Göring had one. He was, I think, can't remember what post it was basically as the police chief of some area, and sort of basically just took him with him throughout as he sort of grew up the ranks of the German bureaucracy. Would fight in several places, would fight in Italy, part of it would fight in Operation Market Garden actually, and primarily they would fight on the Eastern Front. They would also fought in North Africa. We got triple conscripts there for Kryptic, double grenadier MD42 there for Joris. So far, slowly exploring here, carefully advancing, more sandbags barbed wire. You can see Joris is being very sort of methodical in how he's setting up the battlefield here against Kryptic, making it harder there for Kryptic to just push ahead and sort of gain any advantage versus Joris. Of course, Kryptic at the same time is not just sort of barreling in mindlessly versus Joris. He's also looking to find a weak spot to break through and lastly overwhelm Joris. So certainly starting out here, interesting between these two highly veteran players. You've got a 4th conscript there for Kryptic versus the Wehrmacht. That's generally not a bad idea. Continue holding up here. This is where Molotovs will be helpful for Kryptic, and generally as the surge, if we do go for a conscript build, I'll generally after the 3rd conscript squad go for Molotovs, so that way sort of access to quickly flashing out infantry or dealing with machine guns if I say flank them. More grenadiers there for Joris and the Hermann Göring Fallschirmpanzerdivision, conscript holding up behind here. Grenadiers slightly shifting about, and a bit of shooter here. Conscript grenadiers rather one-sided, just going to take time, and that of course going to give Joris time to bring up things to flank. In this case, setting up machine gun to flank the conscript there, while the pioneers occupy the house, which has been wired off somewhat in its entrance. Engineers securing territory, no immediate mines though for Kryptic. I can see the cat steadily advancing towards the door. So there might be a small cat break involved here in a few moments if he does decide he actually wants to go outside. And there we go. So hang on there as I let Rasputin out. My apologies. And the cat is outside. Second MD42 there for Joris, so triple grenadier, double MD42 build here versus Kryptic's 4 conscript opening. Here Grenadiers conscripts are fighting out there, and he managed to get inside there. Also looks like we do have Molotovs up now for Kryptic, trying to give him the ability to flush out and deny cover here to Kryptic, and there go Molotov against double grenadiers of Joris, and there we go. Grenadiers on fire, but the conscripts as well. Petrov, you didn't throw it far enough. Oh, I'm on fire. Oh, this is bad. Flamethrower team around there to further flush out the Germans. Conscripts are being pushed back, and he got a Grenadier squad. Now that's a big win there for Kryptic here in the early game. Not as quite as big as say wiping an MD42 and stealing it, but it's certainly going to have a noticeable effect there on Joris, which is going to force him to have to be a bit more defensive, as that certainly puts down a bit on his offensive abilities. And lastly gives Kryptic more room to roam. He's actually going here for a 5th conscript squad. Now that is rather bold and aggressive. He needs to be a bit careful there. I mean, he can risk, sending him into a spiral of heavy manpower attrition there if he then uses his conscripts recklessly, which certainly also indicate he's more likely to go for advanced warfare, since that's really the doctrine that works the best with a lot of conscripts. I mean, it has submachine guns, it has conscript repair kits. The other doctrines don't really similarly offer much for the conscripts, so advanced warfare would actually be sort of the more sensible choice there for Kryptic, though we have seen players obviously never going for the sensible choice there. Expecting the conscripts to attack through here. Obviously, one squad suppressed. There you go, quick run to avoid here the arc of fire before the MG40 can turn around there. Very good work. Pushing in there with a Molotov. And there you go, straight on the MG42, keep pulling to the car. We got more troops moving in. More conscripts might need to pop Molotov in the Pioneers to prevent them from continuing to getting close. There we go. Pioneers up and ugly there with the MP40s. They're schmeissers. Conscripts, they're trying to catch the MG42, taking too many losses from the Grenadiers. We've got more conscripts around here. Are the MG42 trying to deal with all these turns of events here as Kryptic just unleashes assault after assault on Joris, and the Hammond gun got the MG42 up to cover the first MG42, which allows then the other MG42 to set up here. In this case, the conscripts will have to fall back. And then more conscripts turning up northwards here. Engineers are on the way to replace the ones who lost there. Kryptic, apparently his flamethrower engineers, but are lost there. And another squad retreating. In fact, he's retreating every single infantry squad, probably because it feels like there's not much he can do. He would rather allow Joris to gain a bit of territory back, so he can then sort of attack him from as many angles as possible. Joris here replacing the losses, though he does have tag up, but he's set to build up. And here we got a support weapon company out for Kryptic. Could have pushed that a bit faster instead of a 5th conscript squad. A mortar there, for example, could have been, I think, quite helpful. Particularly versus Stealth machine guns. You know, mortars will be a rather handy tool for the average Soviet commander, and Kryptic is definitely a bit more beyond that, so he would be really handy for him, I believe. Like to make a nice company up here for Joris and the Hammond Göring. Got Grenadiers there pushing northwards. No light machine guns on the way there. Fun fact about the Hammond Göring, despite being an elite Panzer division, even having, you know, the armbands, which is usually what you sort of get an elite division had, it never actually really received half tracks, which was actually pretty surprising. Since they were technically part of the basic organisation, but definitely something elite divisions would have been guaranteed. But it never received, there was only one became Panzer Corps, at which point it received sort of a Fusilier battalion for the Corps itself, which was then armoured in half, or sort of put up in half tracks. I always find it's a bit interesting there. Guys, they're taking man losses from the conscripts. Up here we got more conscripts pushing ahead, and further northwards there as well for Kryptic. Overall maintaining good map control here versus Joris, and certainly highlighting just how powerful conscripts can be, because again their power basically relies on just their high mobility and being hard to just sort of keep down if you're not careful. Kryptic thus swiftly moving up the tech tree there against Joris. He could then push out a fast T-70, half-tow and assault gun, or he can try and push for a mechanized armor compagnie and push for a T-3476, maybe in a T-45. We'll have to see how bold Kryptic feels versus Joris. That's really going to, I think, what it comes down to here. Joris basically sort of going on the defensive, because he does not want to be caught off guard here by a swarm of conscripts, and that's basically what Kryptic can currently unleash on him. So we'll definitely have to see how Joris handles this, because this is a really tricky situation for most of our players to deal with. Just lots of conscripts that can attack from a large number of angles. I mean, the only way this could be any worse for Joris is if Kryptic would actually bring up a mortar and lay down smoke screens. The T-70 is not going to be particularly much worse than a mortar in these circumstances, because Joris has not been mining, nor does he have any anti-tank ones. He's going for the 2-2 and he has Panzerfaust, but they will struggle a bit with the T-70 unless it gets really lucky. Quick Molotov there, denying cover to Joris' Pioneer. But there you go, rough grenade, and oh dear, didn't quite work out. They actually gave it itself away there, giving Krypt enough time to get away there. But there you go, got the first PPH-41s off there, and looks like the conscript was spotted and rifle grenaded, falls on the way there, but with surprisingly few casualties, which is actually pretty lucky there for Kryptic, considering they were rifle grenaded in negative cover. It is rather fortunate indeed. So the first squad there with submachine guns already routed here by Joris' stout grenadiers, and we got the armoured car there patrolling ahead. Kryptic though short on the anti-tank grenades and even the munitions for them due to the submachine guns. So we do have the T-70 light tank there ready to put a stop to that. Coming in this 45mm gun, opening up in the 222. And there you go, down to roughly half health there. Grenadiers sitting up there behind heavy cover. That's not going to last forever there versus the T-70 light tank, which was while an attempt to sort of consolidate light tank production for the Russians, because before that they had the T-50 and the T-60, which was sort of each their own sort of role, infantry support and reconnaissance. And over about that time they really need to just simplify all production they could since doing Barbarossa. So basically the T-70 came about for that. It was not because it was a particularly good light tank or anything like that. They just made it because they had to. That's sort of the fun thing there. Troops reinforcing healing. Moving about here. No mines though for Kryptic, but again, submachine guns, and if you particularly want a lot of those, will obviously drain out munitions there. Got a Pack 40 out here for Joris. Kryptic will know if you paid attention there. So he knows he has to be a bit more careful with his T-70 there versus Joris and the Hermann Göring. Got the M4 heading southwards. T-70 strikes. Look at these Petrov. They think they can penetrate their armor. They just took my finger. They can. It's just not very well. Going to hold out here with an M4 twin support. Bigger push here. Molotov there denying cover. T7 then sort of supporting the advancing infantry there, basically fulfilling the infantry support role. Tactically sound move there by Kryptic. Of course, he can only do for so long because the Pack 40 will be moving in there. So rather has sort of switch up approach then before holding up the counter to the south. But see a wipe there on the conscript negative cover, and there you go, kaput. Only his second squad there with submachine guns and annihilated. He's quick to replace it though. So Kryptic clearly has a 5 conscript strategy here in mind. Though so far they're also proving effective, but it very much does run the risk of heavy manpower bleed. So it is a bit risky there. Back here for reinforcement healing. Joris could consider taking up soon. Versus a conscript heavy build though, Panzer Grenadiers would also be an excellent choice there for Joris, since they can really counter them, particularly the ones that have not been upgraded. Another idea would be upgrading the Grenadiers. I would like machine guns, so you could go lightning roll for the G43s. Third option would be assault support, and the officer to that way boost the Grenadiers versus the conscripts. So Joris has several options to sort of pursue versus Kryptic and the 5th Mechanized Corps. Seems like Joris is a bit unsure about himself. First considered Panzer Grenadiers to stop them, so went for mortar instead. Interesting choices there. I'm not sure how effective mortar's going to be versus all these conscripts, and considering the way Kryptic is flanking. Push up through there. And there you go, Molotov there, push back the Grenadiers in the south. Pioneers setting up behind the sandbags. And we got the Gnadenwerfer out here for Joris and the Hermann Göring Fallschirm Panzer Division. Back here, nothing further going on for Joris. Oh, there you go, tack up onwards. Kryptic can also consider taking up soon here. And we got a bunker up here, so fighting sort of slightly slowing down here. Kryptic, I think, could try and apply more pressure in the north for the T-70 that way, so forcing Joris to have to consider defending this part more, or perhaps some deeper flanks for the south instead of just trying to tap through this very narrow gap, which is much easier for Joris to defend since there's no cover there for Kryptic, and he's actually provided his own cover. So it is a bit funny that Kryptic is putting so much emphasis on this spot rather than trying to attack from other angles, maybe with the mortar and applying some smoke support. Pioneers have been pushed back with the T-70 conscript advancing slowly. Further pressure here. But the conscripts out in the open are easy targets here for the 2-2, in particular there's no support for them against it, partly due to the Pack 40, preventing the T-70 from doing it. And there goes, still spots it and gets off a hit there. And Kryptic T-70 backs off. Oh! Gets taken out there! Too slow for Kryptic. That's definitely a victory for Joris. Allows him to be a lot more aggressive and pressure the map more aggressively now versus Kryptic, since the T-70 is not there. I mean, there's still an awful lot of conscript. There will still be an awfully big problem, but they're not quite on the level of the T-70 against Joris' infantry. I'm saying not with the 2-2 supporting them. So that was definitely a bit awkward there for Kryptic. So he has now actually gone for a mortar of his own, and at the same time he's going for the mechanized armor company, as both players will roughly be able to get out medium armor at the same time. Though of course Kryptic will be able to get out the more durable one, the T-3045. Because they're finally against Grenadiers up close Molotov off, but easily dodged there by Joris and before supporting, and of course got the 2-2 joining in for some fun as well. I do think what Kryptic needs to do is sort of change the approach here and just try to attack from here, smokescreen there, and then sort of barge in. With attacks from here as well, and that way try and overwhelm Joris' position around the carve point. Because right now he's just trying to attack for a very, very narrow gap, which doesn't really allow Kryptic to make full use of advantage, which is he's got overwhelming numbers. Instead, he's basically allowing here Joris to make use of his advantage, which is overwhelming firepower in the form of an MG42 and whatnot, so he just choke down anything that tries to break through the choke point. Demo charge in the center victory point. Sehr good. Well, not good. Actually, for the Germans, quite the opposite. Got to the after the conscripts. There we go. Damaged engine again on the 222. My God, Friedrich. The mechanics are going to kill us. Yeah, well, if they actually could do that, they would have killed us years ago. So we keep getting this engine damaged. And of course the machine gun bunker just further sort of makes this more difficult for Kryptic to do so. Again, I think the approach here needs to be changed to an attack through here, using smoke to basically suppress any potential machine guns. Now we can see that Joris is on the counter-offensive. He strikes for the carve point, he strikes for the north here with minesweepers, spotting out any demo charges for the most part, except there. Basically in this case what happened was the tree there basically blocked, and I don't think Joris was paying full attention. So in that regard, one trick of course is to try and lay these things down behind a bit of natural cover, so even if they do get spotted, they're not necessarily going to be spotted because, you know, it's going to be harder to detect for the human eye. So another wipe against Joris. Kryptic though standing strong, though now severely harassed, as Joris leads the offensive for Germany. Deutschland in Sieg. Pushing it for the fatherland there with the Panzer IV on the way for Joris. Germany. Kryptic is clearly aiming for the T-35. That's going to take him a bit of a while there to get out. Quick multi there from the conscripts. Got more submachine guns being handed out there. Slowly, surely. Got the carve point gunners up closer to the conscript, but they are being suppressed by the M42. They're pretty much preventing them from dealing with the Grenadiers. We've got more sort of holding up, protecting the flank of the M42, but the conscript will push it to the submachine guns. Panzer IV there for Joris. Panzerkampfwagen 4 Grenadiers advancing in the south, engaging now the conscript there, and we got relief infantry up for Joris, replacing some of the heavy losses he will suffer with cheaper Osttruppen. Langs are still maintaining lots of ground here, in fact somewhat easy. And there you go, conscript they're about to get wiped by combined mortar and rifle grenade fire, and then get swiped, shot on the back there by Jürgen. And that, Otto, is how you deal with retreating Russian. Aim for the base of the neck and then you hope the bullet hits. Half the time it always hits. Also then in trouble with the Panzer IV. And Panzer Grenadier now for Joris. But we got the T-35 they're slowly approaching here for Kryptic. Plus he's got a SIS-3 field gun out there. So Joris' Panzer IV might suddenly find himself a bit more challenged in a few moments, to put it mildly. So it's going to be the bit tricky there. But meanwhile, Joris still hitting the carve point there, digging on machine guns and grenadiers, and buying time there. Also in part relying on the infantry to minimise the casualties. Very good work there. There we go, T-35 up for Kryptic and the 5th Mechanized Corps. With its 85mm gun. And improved turret, though the hull itself was pretty much the same as previous T-34-76 models. Constantly engaged with the 2-2 trying to flank in. They might be able to get a grenade there. T-35 moving up here. We got no. Oh, we've got Panzer IV nearby and the Pack 4 as well there, but misses. T-35 then can go straight for the 2-2, wipe it up, put an end there to Joris' mobile reign of terror. And then go 80mm gun, puts the 2-2 up its misery and brings some relief there to Kryptic's flanks. Still, Joris there's meant to turn the game around there with a few well-placed hits, having played the waiting game for a bit. And lastly, catching Kryptic with a nasty surprise. Of course, now Kryptic has the advantage there with the T-35 as long as he makes sensible use of it. Of course, if he were to throw it away, I mean, that could very well give Joris the game. But it's going to be very difficult for the Panzer IV to deal with, since the T-35 has more health and armor. And thusly can soak up more damage. Plus more penetration, which of course means it's also more likely to damage the Panzer IV than the Panzer IV is to damage it. So the match here that is slightly a bit skewed until the Panzer IV can get up some serious veterancy bonuses. Plus we've got this history, they're now backing up the T-35 as well, quickly shifting towards the south again. He wants to break through here. He wants to. He needs to. And go machine gun corps. T-35 gloriously blows apart a series of crates, but not a lot of Germans. But there you go, machine guns took apart Ludwig, leaving him very Deadwig. Stuck halfway down there for Joris supports Panzer IV. There's all the advancing Russian armor that are likely coming in, so in fact Kryptic can go for T-34 6, just to add some more raw numbers right away. Got air support called in here around Joris' scarf, one of the support from the Grenadiers. Quick strike there from the R2 Sturmovik, damaging and scattering Joris' forces. And there goes Stuttgart. Will Kryptic go for an S-35 to counter this? Go for another T-35? No, goes for the T-34 76. Oh, awesome squad there, crushed by the T-35. And could wiped out there. So the only squad he got out of this, by the way, got wiped by the T-35. That's not too good there for Joris. But even as this is happening, he's again heading the calf point. He's taking right to the Kryptic's southern focus to strike closer to Kryptic's home and deny him valuable resources, allowing Joris to build up more of a fuel advantage. So that's very good there, tactically by Joris. Very good. Of course, he's still going to find himself struggling there once the T-34 6 arrives to support the T-34 85. Sicily jumps up the Panzer IV. T-34 dealing with the Grenadiers. They're getting shredded out in the open. They will be able to go off for Panzerfaust, but they're very close to being wiped out. Ooh, got a wipe there. By the looks of it, Pioneers annihilated, a bit of loss there for Joris. There you go, trying to get the T-35 T-35 6 moving in. Sicily supporting Panzer and Pack 40 supporting as well. Here's shot bounced. Field gun white mortar in trouble as well there. Panzer 4 moving in. Oh, he's about to lose his main gun out though on the Panzer 4. The Panzer Kampfwagen 4. There we go, gets it. T-34 6 gets Panzerfaust it. Really close armor engagement between Kryptic and Joris. Astoundingly close. And there you go, fresh reinforcements arrive to push back the Germans, since without him support, they still can't remain there. Neither can the Pack 40. So, very close engagement. Kryptic was able to pull through without losing a single one of his tanks, but getting the Panzer IV in the trade-off. So that's pretty good here. That is pretty good. Now he's just going to have to repair them both fast. Of course, he does have the conscripts to help with that, besides the engineers, and he's quickly going for another engineer squad there. Very good. But he is once more cut off from fuel here by Joris. He's going for Panzergrenadier, or at least attempting to again. Fixing out the T-34 6, moving out to prioritize the T-35 there. Congratulations! You're now an engineer, Pushkin. But how? Just grab this welder and begin welding. I don't know how to weld. Just point at it and, you know, hope you don't burn out your eyes, fingers, or anything else. Pack 40 there with a bit of improvised camouflage using a tipped over tree, though it is very much noticeable still. Bit difficult to hide it just like that. Second Pack 40 there for Joris, would indicate he's planning for a Tiger there. obviously not go for a second pack for when there's options for medium armor, and certainly not, you know, when you got options for a second Stug. So he's clearly saving up for a Tiger here. It's either that or he's playing suddenly for tier 4 on Panthers, which would certainly be a bit of a surprise. There we go, both tanks ready here for Kryptic once more. T-34-5 and T-34-76. T-34-76 though was by the later stages of the war slowly being relegated towards reconnaissance tanks, taking all the job for the T-70, of course, for the units that actually had T-35s. So little fun note there. T-35 strikes with the center here, attempting to break through, but is quickly halted in its tracks here by German anti-tank fire. And not without leaving a high explosive parting gift there for the German machine gun crew. In the south, T-34-76 moving in here, overwhelming and overrunning the German position there. Without anti-tank support though, they are easy prey here for the T-34-76. We've got air support calling on the MD-42. And there goes, strike here for the IL-2, 20mm cannon though, just about doesn't hit. Parts of them moving in, got the Stug moving in. OD up close there, they're being cut to ribbons here. Kennedy's moving with the Panzerfaust, Stug moving in as well. Hits a push instead, not very good marksmanship there for Joris's Stug gunner. And there you go, another T-34-76 out here for Kryptic. A lot of medium armor suddenly hitting the field versus Joris, who again is stalling and buying time for something bigger here. Versus the Red Army. We'll have to see how that works out though for Joris. Certainly beginning to be a bit risky there when Kryptic just begins hitting the let's get a lot of medium tanks button. Pack shoots, blows up a wreck, but does not wreck the T-34-76. Run from the T-34, this shot missed. Stug moving ahead there. Shot fired. Panzerfaust off as well. And we got the T-34 running here for Kryptic. The more durable of the 3 medium tanks here. Stug just buying time, and what is this? He is going for tier 4. Joris is, by Jove, going for tier 4 on Panthers. Most likely. I hope it's a Panther. I mean, it's still on Panther, but right now, not help him out a ton there versus all of those T-34s. That would not help him out very much. Kryptic Mortar keeps flying away here, but it's not really a lot of smoke here from either player, which you do find a bit disappointing. Could open up, I think, for some good maneuvers, and it'll certainly give Kryptic's assaults there some more oomph, some more punch, and of course, just, you know, less friction. So we'll have to see what happens there. You could consider Katyusha maybe for some rocket attacks that when bombard, or you could just go for more T-34s. I mean, aiming for four T-34s. I would do the trick here, I think, versus Joris. You know, 4 medium tanks for easy steamroll Joris, unless he actually has a lot of telemines down. But otherwise, just Kryptic would just have so much critical mass with 4 medium tanks. Would just break through most of what Joris had, then crash it. But Joris is building the heavy panzer core back at the base. Getting ready for the finest panzers of the Wehrmacht to arrive. Kryptic there slowly seizing Joris on, and there you go, heavy panzer core up, closing in there. T-34 contract to try and flank behind here. The flanks have been covered in mind for Joris. Good work, and these homes been wiped out in the centre here. Stug going after the T-34-76, gaining veterans 1 pack, 4 lands a good hit as well. They're gaining veterans 2. In the south, the more pressure here, constantly being suppressed here by the MD-42 pack covering that one as well. And here, by the munitions point, Conscript versus Panzergrenadier. Grenades being exchanged there, and we got the Conscript treating the face of the hardened Panzergrenadier. Relief him again here from Joris. He's probably trying to use it to try and, you know, conserve manpower until he can get out the Panther there. So he's basically going to run the Ostrom. In a sense, the interesting move there by Joris. At least that's what I'm assuming it is, because very much other position also just getting too many units, so his pop cap is too high, so he can't get the Bloody Panther. There you go, damage engine the T-34 from 6, but the field prevents the Stug from moving in and destroying it. Oh, flanked here and rammed it with his T-34 from 6, destroying the Stug. I mean, the Stoic actually cost slightly more than the T-34.6 in that sense. Economically, you know, it's a sensible trade-off, I suppose, but it still feels a bit weird to do it like that. But it very much leaves Joris in an awkward spot until he can then get out that Panther versus Kryptic's tanks. You could have to push through their gun behind the Pack 40 and destroyed it, but it might have been here that Kryptic was worried about Telemar laid down from Joris, so Joris does not mind the main road, just the northern side road from there, where he's not really doing much, to be honest. Send the Alpines around here to try and slow down the Russian assaults there with a bit more menacing shots. And Kryptic replacing the lost T-34-6 with another T-34-85. And there you go, got the Panther on the way there for Joris, the Panzerkampfwagen 5. With another mortar though for Kryptic. Another artillery piece here. Will he begin finally using smoke? This is just for more continuous bombardment of Joris' positions. Well, this time around, got 2 Ostrom squads. Go for the retreat here from the conscripts, Panzer Grenadiers, and of course the German mortar proving to be too much of a caustic combo for Kryptic's conscripts to overcome. And north, the harassment attempt here from the Ostrom encounters probably a bit of unexpected resistance there as the T-35 was receiving repairs nearby by some submachine gun wielding conscripts, easily routing the Russian troops. I mean German troops, not Russian troops, German troops. There you go, more support here against the MD-42. This time much bigger impact, but we got the Panther out here for Joris. And the Hammond going Fallschirm Panzer Division. Here, Panzer Grenadiers versus the T-35 there, getting blasted to bits as well. Forced away. Still, Joris is maintaining good map control here versus Kryptic. Though it might turn a bit up around here if he can get that Pack 40 and turn it towards his own use. But there you go. Panther flanks the T-35 there. Bit risky considering he, you know, is negating his arm advantage but getting up close. In this case, not keeping the front towards the enemy tank either, which allows it to penetrate the rear armour. And a fun fact there, German Panther commanders were always instructed to keep the front of the Panther towards the enemy, since obviously that is where they were strongest. Grenadiers almost went up with the T-35, got the T-35-6 moving in support there. And the Panther moving up as well here for Joris. Ostrom there pushing back the field gun. They can't advance much further. More mortify against Joris' positions. Up north, the tanks just wait here for something to do against Joris. Slowly advancing, the Ostrom spearheading and spotting ahead for the Panther. And go calf point hit, getting glass hit of the T-35. Half fate of H-22. Back here, reinforcement healing for Joris and the German army. And straight to the MD-42 there, H-22. Well done there by Joris, keeping that one alive. Other one is even closer to H-23, which is pretty well done there. And so far, also very important to note, Joris is not just charging his Panther for the most part as an opponent, which is also very important and very good. Some players just tend to play the Panther like it's a tiger race, which tends to result in the total destruction of the Panther because it is not designed for it at all. However, when it comes to the Panther, you make use of its range as much as possible. You only get close, you have to deal with infantry because you want to use machine guns. And you usually try to make sure there's no tanks nearby that could then ruin the day for your Panther. Pioneers, they're being pushed back. Also, a fun fact about the Panther's turret, it was actually pretty crammed in there with not an awful lot of space, which would have been even smaller if they'd gotten around to actually making the Model F Panther sort of, you know, an actual thing, as that turret was even smaller. And you could barely sort of shift things around in there. Apparently it was being done amongst other things to just make it a lot cheaper to make the Panther, since apparently the Model F turret was just so much easier and cheaper to design, plus it was much easier to convert towards command tanks. So those are some fun notes there. Grenadiers to transport the Ostrom, but the Ostrom themselves are being overwhelmed. But somehow it works out there. Panther being a bit manhandled around there by Joris. Kryptic will just sort of slowly moving ahead, but there's no real sort of smoke and there's no attempts for making a really big push to overwhelm Joris at any point here. Sort of a series of small engagements here and there. Gonna engage with the T-35. Machine guns blazing away, and there you go. Grenadiers almost held up. We got the Panther rushing in. Ah, careful Joris. Again, Panther, not Tiger Ace. And there you go, the assault is damaging the Panther, forcing it to fall back here. In the centre, he's going for the victory point. Got the T-35 and T-35 moving up. We got double pack forges there. And still no smoke screens. Of course, he might be worried about the mines, but in that case, you can just coordinate with some engineers with the minesweepers. Just sort of move ahead in that way so ensure there's no mines. Machine gun there. Mortar actually wiped here by Kryptic's mortars. Machine gun bunker remains. A good investment there for Joris and the Hammond Girling. We'll have to see how much good investment the Panther though will turn out to be here for Joris. Tanks racing northwards here. And Osttruppen rushing away there in the very opposite of directions as soon as he hears the tanks coming towards him. I didn't sign up for this. I did not sign up for this. You didn't sign up for anything. You were conscripted. Oh yes, that's right. Never mind then. Is Joris aiming for another Panther? I mean, there's 3 medium tanks. A second Panther would be a pretty good investment. We could be saying up for a Tiger. That wouldn't be a halfback choice there. Sturmpanzer and Panzerwerfer I think would be the less amazing choices here. There's that many medium tanks. Kryptic, by the way, is not going for any more at the moment, though he's actually kept at it, so never mind me. Use that full pop cap, at least for the tanks there. You'd need to at least lose something there to be able to get another T-34-76 at the very least. And there we go, he can actually get one now. Continue pressing the south, but interesting enough, no real sort of smoke support here from the mortar, at least protect against MD-42 like that there. Got a counter-attack going through here. And the T-35 does best to just break the German attacks back. At the same time, push for the centre and up north here. We also got one there from the Ostrom, and there's a tank here basically neutralised to grab the point there. Might even get as a bunker. We got the centre victory point secured here. Mine spotted being dealt with. But need to be careful they don't get murdered as the mine goes off underneath their feet there. Good lord, all of those shots, and the mine did not go off as though disarming it. Yeah, the Russians push back, but they do actually manage to secure the victory point there. Panther moving in there, shoots and spectacularly misses. Sharp moves for the streets, mine going off there. That could have been a telemine, could have been a Russian mine, hard to say there. And we got air support in here from Joris using the Panther to advance under cover of the Stuka close air support. Very nice work there. Very nice coordination there, forcing Joris away. Oh, not Joris, but Kryptic. Last thing the Luftwaffe QA will be Joris. I mean, obviously all sides had some issues with the friendly fire from the Air Force, but I think the Americans were the ones that had the most issues with it, to be honest. They're kind of the ones that were the most overeager. But again, friendly fire accidents was, you know, something that happened with every Air Force. There you go, the T-35 taken out here by the Kanonenvogel and their 37mm cannons. So that's a bit of a nasty loss for Kryptic, though he can now replace it with another T-34-85. And there he goes, quick to replace it. As Joris falls back from here, his raid feeling successful there. Both tanks will need some repairs there for Kryptic. He could actually probably go for a T-34-76 number 2 to support all of this. And the south there, Conscripts versus Pioneers and Panzergrenadier. And up close there with all these weapons and all that veterans, the Conscripts just can't do much. But not with the Panther then joining in the fun there.
We have 100 points remaining.
100 points left there for Joris. Needs to quickly gain better control of the victory points here against Kryptic, though. You can't really maintain this for much longer, and Kryptic here has to upsplit Katyusha T-34-16 versus Joris. And of course there's also the option of laying down a large smoke screen and then charging in, neutralizing the two anti-tank guns with the mortars, and then, so you know, following up there to destroy the Panther. We got a Sturmpanzer for Joris here. Again, versus 3 medium tanks. I'd definitely not recommend that. I'd go for another Panther here, or maybe a Panther for some Stugs. Sturmpanzer though definitely feels like the weaker choice there for Joris. We'll have to see how it works out. He's only gone this far, so I suppose we could have some faith in his actions. Shot fighting the T-35. Looks like he's just tacked ground, and there we go. Get air support hit called in against Joris' position. Panther advance here, following up with the infantry. Got a new spotting hit there, very good work. And there you go, big counter push into the Panzer Grenadier here, and bomb grenade about to landing on the mortar, and oh, the Conscripts moving towards it. Mortar goes down though, bunched up, they're reaching targets there. Panther moves ahead, it's spawning into against the T-35, 576 and 85. Panther gaining veterans, 1 blitzkrieg available, T-35 gaining veterans, 2. Other T-35 moving in there, despite all the damage, he has to buy time for the rest of the more veteran tank crews to escape the wrath of the Panther. And there you go, pension to hit there, but he shoots through the wreckage of the house, knocking out the T-34-76, scoring a glorious kill there for the German army. Got the Sturmpanzer 4 moving up there. Well, Stupa was known by the Germans, they did not call it the Brumba, that was an allied designation that sort of stuck. But they called it the Stupa, the Germans themselves, as a fun note there. HQ5 here for Kryptic to counter all of this, and there you go, mortar wiped again. This time by something a bit heavier in terms of explosives than a bun grenade. Panther slowly approaching Veteran T2 there. Very slowly, back here, reinforcement healing going on. Panther finally going to move into flank from the north here. Or something I think Kryptic has neglected a lot there throughout the match here versus Joris. That, and of course smoke screens from his mortars. And of course what makes this mortar loss worse for Kryptic is that was his Veteran T3 mortar. It's going to be a lot harder to replace all that experience. All those man hours going towards earning the craft of lobbing high explosives from a small tube at the enemy. But there you go, got the 85 out, which was interesting enough to sort of put her out of commission, extent they do to the arrival of the T-35 though. They still saw service throughout the entire war, but they sort of stopped in production. Emphasis I think was moved towards the SU-100 though. That took some time as well. I don't know what happened like early 1945. And even then I think in limited numbers. But there you go, Sturmpanzer straight to the T-35 and SU-5. Pack 4 supporting here. T-35 suffering the brunt here of the anti-tank guns fire. Castle now they're suffering from the Sturmpanzer. There you go, Panther moving in. Kryptic with sun and manpower, another airstrike called in there. You could consider some more support weapons, field guns, Maxims, and there you go, almost right up the conscript there with the Sturmpanzer. 6 kills, there we go, wipe out. Panther going straight here for the T-35, or HQ5. Watching hits from the T-35, getting flanked here with the L1. We got the Pack 40 covering here with Veteran T3. High rate of fire. He needs to blitzkrieg the Panther, needs to get it out of there. Sturmpanzer getting almost knocked out there. Go, gets the T-35. Almost got the Panther to eventually 2 Sturmpanzer kaput entirely. Get a loss there for Joris. T-35 now wants to look to escape here. The wrath of the Panther. It's high velocity gun there, zooming in on the target. Looks like the T-35 here will escape the Panther. Or does he try and attack ground T? Try to catch it. It's now in limber, I think. And there you go. He has to break off. At the same time, finding around the cough point here, the HQ5 can't do anything against it. Kryptic bringing up more conscripts. He's got so much manpower, just hasn't been using it a lot at this stage. No say caches or anything, so maybe offset things a bit. Or just being allowed to bring up more tanks faster. Though of course at this point he'd probably benefit more from field guns and Maxims. Oh! Might not need those field guns. Joris here made a big mistake. He sent in both of his Pack 40s. Actually unattended. In the blind. Allowing Kryptic to steal one of them at the very least. That was quite unfortunate there for Joris. Who's now getting pretty close to be able to call in a Tiger tank here to support the Panther. And that would definitely, I think, be a very, very perilous situation for Kryptic. In particular, that Panther hits Victory 2 and gains access to the armored Schützen. Going for another Stug though. Looks like Joris has no intention. Oh, cancels the Stug. Cancels the Sturmgeschütz. Joris, the meanwhile, securing most of the map here. Field gun there abandoned. Apparently never picked up again by Kryptic. And there you go, straight into the MD42. Veteran T2, they're very close to Veteran 3. And up close, the Ostrom there, formidable. When the conscripts are actually suppressed, though. Grenadiers holding up a T-35 there. But the cover is gone, so the Grenadiers likely will be soon as well. And the mortar there joining in does not make it easy. But there's actually crews here, the field gun, with a few Ostrom heroically manning it in the face of Russian opposition. Pack 40 hanging back, the MD42 as well. There were 12 kills, Veteran T3. Swarming after the Cis-3 field gun there. The crew desperately pulling away. Grenadiers moving up. They could try and pop into the cover there to engage the engineers more consistently. And he's just going for another Sturmpanzer in the end. And I think we're better off for the Panther. But I suppose if Joris wants to go for the Sturmpanzer, I suppose it's fair as long as he does keeping, you know, an actual Panther there first. I mean, some players will just go straight for the Sturmpanzer, you know, when they really need it as a Panther. Some other tank, you know, tank to hold the line until they can get out the Sturmpanzer. Thusly making it much safer for that one to roam about. Kryptic finally going for a maximum there. Field gun wiped though. T-Fed force from 6 on the way for Kryptic and the 5th Mechanized Corps. Got the Panther in Norfolks here on its own with the, well, some infantry I suppose in on his way, but still a bit risky. And there you go, the Victory 2 for the Panther. Schützen up. Toughened up, hardened up for the fatherland. Shot fire, missed the T-45. Then the Northern Victory point in the centre. We got constant retreating here in full speed as well here in the face of Joris's formidable force. And the 2nd Sturmpanzer arrives for Joris. And the empty of the T-34 arrives there for Kryptic. Still, this is looking pretty bad for Kryptic. I mean, he's still got a reasonably big force in terms of, you know, population. They're roughly equal. But Kryptic very much feels more on the defensive versus Joris, who's sort of more dictating the pace of the fight now. And where they're happening. Sturmpanzer taking hit there from the Issue-5. Counter there being almost annihilated by the Sturmpanzer. Got them all supporting. Still no smoke screens. In fact, somebody just silence some of the anti-tank bombs there from Joris. Issue-5 needs to fall back though. It's down to half health. We got the T-Fed moving up. They got the Panther up northwards. Pretty risky move here though by Joris. Re-exposed there on the Panther. There go tick and nasty hit there from the T-45. L1 got a damage in here though. Panther quickly pulling into safer distance. There we go. Luftwaffe strikes again with its Kanonenvogel, damaging the T-54 from the 6 there from a hit. L1 taking a lot of damage. Panther going enough for the T-54 from 6 still desperately trying to get away here from Joris's Panther. And there you go. Shots fired. Pursuing here. Other tanks are pulling away. They're leaving that T-Fed 426 to fend for itself. And there you go. Down it goes. HD5 also goes up in flames. Leaving him only with the T-35 here versus all of Joris's armor. That's the victory point taking down. There we go. We got the Blitzkrieg here. 85 left a burning box of death. Sturmpanzer there trying to blow up the T-35 units, crushed there. We got the Panther hot in pursuit and gets the T-45. And with that, Kryptic is just down to a bunch of infantry which can't take any of the points because they're being defended by machine gun bunkers and whatnot. Or in the case here, Sturmpanzers and Panthers. And sadly, Kryptic just does not use smoke. Two points left and GG, game over. Loss there for Kryptic and the 5th Mechanized Corps. Victory here for Joris and the Hammond going Fallschirmpanzer. They've shown a brutal battle here. Kryptic leading out strong there with a heavy conscript build. and sort of decently doing alright, but never sort of really consolidated with a lot of might or anything like that, and also increasingly just got focused on attacking through narrow gaps rather than trying to use his large numbers to make use of larger attacks that are hard for Joris to actually pin down. So in that regard, Kryptic, I think, sort of slowly began mishandling his force more and more. Also, while despite having increased large number of mortars, never used them for smoke that could again further supported large scale attacks, which is really what your Kryptic should have been aiming for. So in that regard, I feel like Kryptic just sort of undercut. I'm thinking, oh, that's excellent strategy with tactics that don't really work towards it. And in fact, in some ways, actually undercut, all the large numbers he had, but just then attacking through the most narrow gaps, which really does not allow him to make full use of said numbers. Joris, in the hand, slightly, more defensive start, but managed to pull through, turn the tables on Kryptic, and just slowly build up towards more armor. In the end of the Panther, I think, proved out to be a pretty good investment, in part because he made good use of the Panther, and slowly but surely beat back his opponent and won the game. He could have used his doctrine a bit more. I mean, there's no G for the freeze, no tactical movement. It was pretty much all relief infantry and two close air support. Not even a Tiger, which is a bit surprising. And a part of me is certainly a bit unsure if it's not. Personally, I do think he should have just gone for the Tigers at the Strum Punch. But I mean, they did have an effect there, so it's a bit hard to say ultimately, they're complete waste there. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe to the friends. Just share it with everyone. If not, send in a replay of your own apart some feedback in the comment section. Of course, a big thanks as well to all my Patreon supporters, without which this episode would not have been possible. So thank you all, and see you all tomorrow for another signing episode. Bye.